E.N Young, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, happy to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're here too, man. Or at least we're doing this via Zoom. I know
Yeah,
you're in San Diego, man. So how's it going with the whole quarantine situation where you're at?
well, city is on lockdown. There's a lot of other places in the world, and yeah, it's a very eerie and trippy time. Honestly,
Yeah.
it feels unreal. I live on a busy street, and where my house is and my studio is behind, and a lot of cars passing by constantly. And now there's no cars. There's
Oh
barely
wow.
you see a lot of people walking, but it's such an eerie feeling, and it almost obviously we've never none of us has ever gone through something like this. So, but experiencing this is just tripping me out. I'm taking it hour minute by minute,
Yeah,
because I think
yeah,
that's all we can do is just yeah, try to get through it one. I'm going ups and downs, and I'm really feeling it as everyone is.
yeah,
But yeah, overall, it's just trippy. It feels like a movie or like a bad dream or something
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
I see all sides of it, so I'm just mixed with emotions, and probably a lot of other people feeling just like this.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're what, like the third weekend, or like, and it seems like just yesterday this all happened too.
Yeah, it's been a while already, but yeah, it's time's kind of passing by fast with it. Honestly, like wow, it's already Friday now. And this week's passing by fast. Everything's kind of passing by real quick,
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's just because I'm like looking for the next thing or what it is, but yeah, I feel like it's yeah, it feels very dreamlike. Like even time is slowing down,
yeah.
or speeding up. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I noticed, I mean, as we do this call or podcast, I'm just describing for our listeners, I noticed that you're in your studio. So since this whole quarantine, have you been just working on a lot of music to keep yourself busy?
yeah, I am. We were supposed to start the tour on April 11th, opening for Gondwana. It was 40 shows in North America, Canada, and US. And obviously that's been postponed. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm spending a lot of time in the studio. I wasn't planning on working with other artists and producing and doing a lot more mixing and mastering, but since my schedule is opened up now, I'm starting to record a lot of my own songs, and I'm starting to help other artists now since I wasn't expecting to have this open schedule, but yeah, now I'm just focusing more quarantine style in the studio,
yeah,
and yeah, getting work done. Still trying to push forward. Still I'm still doing well. That's the weird thing is that we're home, we're eating really good because I'm having a little bit more time to cook delicious
yeah,
meals. I'm still working. I'm with my wife and my son, and life kind of feels the same except for my listening to NBR in the morning and
yeah,
checking the quarantine stats, and then
yeah.
Instagram, everyone's going live, and it just, and obviously I'm not going on tour, but it's that's the weird thing about it, it adds
Hmm.
to it. It's just like I'm still home doing what I usually do.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
trip.
Yeah, and I was looking really forward to that tour. Like, I mean, I'm a big Gondwana fan too and stuff like that. So I was
Yeah,
really hoping to
nice.
catch a show. But
Well, we're still planning on doing it. They're still hopeful, and they're still. I was just hoping that it wasn't all going to get fully canceled, where they just say, we'll try to again in a couple years, and they
yeah,
won't come back to the US or something like that. But it
yeah.
seems like they're still on board fully, and they want to just postpone it as we find out more information. So
Okay,
right now
great.
it's postponed to the end of July, August, September,
Hmm.
but obviously everything's up in the air, so we're just taking it day by day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'll keep an eye on the tour, but yeah, I'd love to catch a show. Uh, Speaking, you mentioned about cooking, and I know you're a big foodie. I've seen that you post photos a lot of food, and you're
Yeah,
always posting
good.
videos of you cooking, and it looks like delicious meals, man. And I also know that I thought I heard that you're a vegan too. So I got me wondering, since you had the tour coming up and stuff, what's your diet like when you're on the road?
Obviously, yeah, like you said, vegan, plant-based. I try to eat the best I can, and I also am a fan of just good food, like orgasmic food. That
Yeah,
just like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, and I trip out a lot when I get good food. So on the road, I've been cooking a lot recently. Even before now, I have a bigger tour bus that has a kitchen, so we're able
Oh,
to
nice.
have nice meals and make up a big pot of stew or something for everyone. That really
Mm-hmm.
helps. Or in the morning we're having breakfast. But before that, even we had a shuttle bus that was converted with bunks, and we would still pull over, throw out a fold out table on the side of the
Oh,
road,
okay.
and yeah, and throw a grill up, and be boiling a pot or rice or whatever we
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
do. So we're always trying to try to cook really well. Now a lot of my band is for adapting the vegan lifestyle while they're out with me, kind of like
okay.
a because on the bus I only allow vegan items, so they're kind of mostly adapt.
Yeah,
And there is my drum and bass are actually vegan too, so that helps a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
we can get together and have meals. And when we go, obviously when you're traveling, you're eating out a lot. So when I go out to eat, I try to make it a real positive experience. Like sometimes we have to go to places that doesn't really have vegan options, but they
yeah,
have a few items that I can modify. So I'm always talking to the server and be real positive and smiling,
yeah,
and making it an experience for them. So
yeah,
so when they walk away, they're like, oh, that guy was, maybe vegan is a good
yeah.
thing. So try to shed some light on it. But yeah, so yeah, eating on the road is a fun thing because I get to do a lot of different stuff other than home. But yeah, that's
What are
my on
some
the
of your
road.
best dishes that you cook up while on the road?
Oh, my wife makes a like a pad thai,
Hmm.
but the noodles are carrot. So she shreds carrots, a bunch of
Uh-huh.
carrots, and there's other stuff, other vegetables in it too. And the sauce is my son is allergic to peanuts, so
Mm.
we put almond butter and we make this sauce out of like almond butter, soy sauce, and other
Oh
stuff into
man.
this like peanut sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
And you would think that you would think the carrots might be a little bit too veggie and that you're missing those pad thai noodles, but you
Yeah.
don't. Like the peanut flavor, you get from almonds
Yeah.
takes over, and it's incredible.
Hmm.
It's an incredible meal. Another one is pozole. We are always making vegan pozole. That's an easy one. Kind of just make a fat stew for everyone, a
Yeah.
fat pozole pot. It has hominy and carrots and a bunch of vegetables. Use like an enchilada sauce for the base.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm always making kind of like assorted blueberry pancakes. So
Oh, nice.
whatever kind of good flours we got, and I'm always trying to use like not wheat, like gluten free,
Yeah.
and good ingredients. So yeah, I make some good breakfasts and good. I'm a real foodie. I love cooking, and I'm passionate about it. It really fires me up.
All this talk
Yeah.
about food, man, you make me want to like join your bus and be like a roadie or like be a stagehand or something just for the
Yeah.
just pay me in food, that's all.
I got you.
Well, I mean, I mentioned off air about I love the new song that you came out recently, Queendom, which I know
Oh
is a
yeah,
tribute you did for Women's History Month or Women's Month. So what
yeah,
made you want to make that tribute?
yeah. I wrote the song before, months before, but then I was upon releasing it, I knew that March was the month for women. So I was thinking this lines up perfect because I'm speaking about women and empowering women, and also like bigging up what my culture is the reggae culture. So I'm bigging
Hmm.
up all the powerful women that love reggae,
Yeah,
and so yeah, that just came across naturally. I just wanted to release a track coming up soon, and it made sense, and I got to kind of put women on that pedestal.
yeah,
So yeah, that was a good experience. But yeah, check that one, Queendom. Anyone who's listening.
yeah. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
song, and I love the artwork too on or the cover artwork.
yeah. The artwork was by a guy named Jeremy in Oregon, but he is an incredible artist. And I saw him. I think I came across him working with Ayatera, and I checked out some of his
Hmm.
art, and I was loving it. And I
Yeah.
asked him. I had this in mind with a woman's face, and the lyrics were kind of
Hmm.
written on her face.
Yeah.
And then he said, and then I kind of wanted to be easier on him. So I said, do you have any artwork that you've already made that you haven't used for anything? And he sent
Mm-hmm.
me that picture, and I was blown away. I was like, this is perfect. What if
Yeah.
you take that concept and you add it to it? So he started writing the lyrics on her and
Mm-hmm.
added things in the background and kind of customized it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an eye popper. I really want to
Yeah.
make some kind of an empowering merch item maybe for women that has
Mm-hmm.
that, because that's a very beautiful woman
Oh
and she
yeah.
seems powerful. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that kind of says, you know, Queendom on it or something like that
Mm.
for a merch item, something that can empower women. A shirt, maybe something like that.
Oh yeah,
But
that would
yeah,
make an awesome shirt. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So I noticed that you have obviously pretty long dreadlocks, and I think you and Mike Love are pretty much in competition with each other with the dreadlocks. So I gotta ask, how long are your dreadlocks?
So I've had a long dreadlock journey. I want to big up real quick. I want to big up the artist who worked on the
Okay.
art for Queendom. His name is Jeremy Hammer,
Mm-hmm.
and his Instagram is kid_0. You could check out all his artwork. He's doing amazing work. But yeah, back to the dreadlocks. I've had a long dreadlock journey. Um, I started with like Congo fat dreadlocks, six of
Mm-hmm.
them, and then I pulled them all apart and separated them, and now then I had something like 40, and then they hit the floor,
Yeah.
and so when they hit the floor, I saw some pictures of me like and leaning on stage, and they were dragging on the stage, and
Oh
I was
man.
kind of like, oh, that's not too sanitary. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that
Yeah.
energy of I want to be clean and cleanly,
Yeah.
you know. And so I did. I gave the scissors to my wife and I said, cut them, you know. So she cut them off the ground just a little bit, and
Yeah.
then yeah. Since then, I've cut them a few times, and I don't know if most people know, but recently I cut them up 2.5 feet.
Hmm.
So you can't really notice because
Yeah.
they're so long. They're still like past my half and
Yeah.
everything, but yeah, so they've touched the floor a few times
Yeah.
already, and yeah, it's been a long 20-year dreadlock journey. You know,
Yeah.
still dreading, still.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not gonna cut them. I almost thought about doing an April Fool's joke yesterday, though. I did one back in 2013, I think it was, but
Mm-hmm.
I tied them all back. Where I was on the bus, I think with Tribal Seeds, and Gonzo went behind me and held the dreadlocks,
Uh,
and it looked like I didn't have them, and I said like,
yeah.
yeah, I had to get rid of them, you know. You can check that on my Instagram, but
Yeah.
people went crazy. I was getting like texts from my mother, and like it was crazy. It just
Yeah.
lit up, and yeah, I almost wanted to do that yesterday, but I feel like everyone would just be like, ah, you're April Fools, and you're
Yeah.
gonna hit
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. You can't fool us twice. Come on.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned earlier about the song Queendom that was released, but you also have albums out so far that have counted. Besides being the vocals on your music, you also play the melodica, which is pretty unique. How'd you get into that instrument?
Yeah, I've had 4 albums out. My last one was Forest Wilderness in 2018, so got one coming soon. But the melodica journey started with roots reggae music from Jamaica. An artist named Augustus Pablo who made it famous um, outside of being like a kid's toy. Basically, the instrument was created in Germany to teach music to
Hmm.
children, and Augustus Pablo made it famous by recording it in the studio in Jamaica, and the reggae music went around the world. And I was a collector of reggae at a young age. At probably 13, I got my first tape, and it didn't stop there. It was like me and my brother getting ride to the local roots shop to try to pick
Hmm.
up some vinyl or burn CDs, and my reggae journey was for a long time, you know. And during that time, I came up on Augustus Pablo and heard this sound, this
Yeah.
mystical kind of sound, and I was like, "What is this instrument?" I started
Yeah.
researching it. I think I bought my first one when I was 15 or 16. Got it in the mail, and I started playing piano when I was really young, so I knew how to play piano already. So when I got this instrument, I was amazed and I was hooked right away. and started following along with the Gus Pablo,
Mm-hmm.
and it had this mystical sound, you know, to it,
Yeah.
and it just because reggae music in general is like a very spiritual thing for me, you know,
Yeah.
and there's some energies in it that really bring me tap into that spiritual side, such as like if you listen to, I'm just going to stay mainstream so people know what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
natural mystic.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear natural mystic come in, Bob and Withers, the boom 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 boom
Mm-hmm.
boom 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 boom, when that comes in and that energy you feel, and he
Mm-hmm.
starts singing, you know, you feel this like chills and this energy. So I, the same thing with the melodica. I had this very like, you know, mystical kind of energy to it, and yeah, it's been amazing. It's
It's
a beautiful
awesome.
instrument. I got my own brand of melodicas too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I sell them on the road at my merch table, and I've never had them online yet, but now that we're all quarantined, I think I'll throw them online soon.
Oh yeah, that would definitely sell too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you play the piano. So, and I've seen a previous video of you playing some classical music on a piano, and you're an amazing piano player. So, how many instruments do you know how to play?
I dabble with a lot, anything I can get my hands on. Like I've dabbled with a few that I'm not good at, but I can kind of hold a note,
Mm-hmm.
like saxophone and trumpet. I've picked up in my life where there's only so much time though. I've excelled at keys and drums. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
those are my key. Those really help with production. So I'm able to lay drums down in keys. Keys are a very versatile instrument. It's like you can sequence with them and you can do a lot of things. So um, I I've yeah excelled with those. I've played the guitar, the ukulele,
Hmm.
and but yeah, I definitely I started playing piano at 5 years old with a little keyboard. My parents hooked me up with lessons, and I was really grateful that they did that because it's led me to my path in music.
Yeah.
And when I was 12, I broke my arm, and the doctor said I needed something to strengthen my arm more than piano. And
Mm-hmm.
my dad got me a drum set, and I've been rocking the drum since 12, and really having fun with it these
Yeah.
days, and getting good tones in the studio. And yeah, so it's been a long time with a lot of instruments.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well,
Yeah,
well, besides being a performer, you also produce music, not only for yourself, but for other people. And you now have Roots Musician Records. So,
yeah.
what made you want to have a more behind the scenes role into music?
Well, I released my first album in 2010, and that was with my album Luck and Chance No More. And before that, I played with a bunch of other bands with Stranger and Roots Covenant that all come from San Diego. And when I released that album, um, I realized that I had a knack for producing. I had already studied production for a long time and been into it, but I really stepped it up with that release. I went into my first internship in a studio when I was 17. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I studied in college, and so my studies started real young with music production.
Okay.
So yeah, I when I did my first album, Luck and Chance No More, a lot of people started hitting me up to produce
Mm-hmm.
music. I produced um, I produced for Gonzo his first album, and I produced Tribal Seed Sound Waves before I was in the band,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of others. The list goes on. It's a blessing to have that much experience, but I noticed that a lot of people during that time we didn't really have a lot of information on releasing music.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, publishing and distribution, and nowadays in 2020 you can jump on YouTube and you can search for something and you can get information quickly, but
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago was not like that at
Oh
all.
yeah.
So I really did a lot of research and got a lot of connections early on with distribution and publishing and things. So
Oh nice.
I was so I was just I already released my record and I already had kind of had the funnel going. So now I just when I was producing for artists, they needed help to release it. So
Mm-hmm.
I was starting to release a lot, and now we've done 111 releases
Mm-hmm.
in 10 years, and still going strong, still releasing a lot. Recently, we have some tracks from Tatanka, from Innovision, Sensi Trails, and much more. A lot of my more of my music coming out. But yeah, it's been a blessing to have Roots Musician Records and my studio Imperial Sound. It's been a great journey producing and releasing music.
Well, speaking of Imperial Sound, you have a pretty unique studio that's called Imperial Sound Recording Studio. I heard it's bordering the Mexico and Pacific Ocean, and it's the most southwest recording studio. So why'd you want to make
Yeah,
a location like that so unique for your studio?
yeah, it actually just kind of happened like that. I didn't really choose it. I feel like it kind of chose me, but I live in Chula Vista. We live right on the border of Mexico, 5 minutes
Nice.
from crossing Mexico. And when if you go to the nearest beach, you have to go even more south towards the border, and
Hmm.
then a little bit west, about 15 minutes till you hit the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So I always grew up from going from Chula Vista. We always grew up going to Imperial Beach
Mm-hmm.
to go to the beach. And when I when I wanted to move out, I was like, I need to live in IB. So I
Yeah.
got an apartment years ago in IB, and I've lived there for a long time, probably 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And and we looked for buying a house for a long time. Needed to find a space that had, a separate building and everything for my studio.
Yeah.
And we found this short sale that was very cheap, and we barely slipped into it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just such a blessing. It was perfect. I
Nice.
absolutely love my house, and it had a massive building in the backyard. It had a pool and has a
Mm-hmm.
pool and massive building in the back that I gutted. It's like I want to say like 45 by 25 or 30 foot space, and it has vaulted ceilings, and it was just a massive building behind the house. So
Mm-hmm.
right away when I moved in, we obviously bought it for the studio. Right away when I moved in, started construction and built this thing pretty quick. And yeah, actually Silos from Tribal Seeds, now he's the drummer of Sublime with Rome.
Mm-hmm.
He named the studio. We were on the bus one day, I think, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's you live in Imperial Beach,
Yeah.
and that's your Imperial Sound, right?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah!" Right away, I called it. I was like, "I
Yeah.
think you just named my new
Yeah.
studio." He's like, "Yeah." So big up Silos.
Yeah, that is a sick title.
Yes, Sublime in Rome. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I noticed you came out with this new rhythm album. I think it's like if I'm saying it correctly, Ragamuffin Ride Rhythm. It came out, I think, like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. So what's that album about?
Yeah, it's always been a dream of mine to do to do rhythm albums because of Jamaican music, and my love for reggae.
Mm-hmm.
Rhythm albums have always been huge in Jamaica, and I'm trying to pull it up so I could big up all the artists on there. But yeah, so I've always wanted to do it. It's always a dream, but it never happens. I'm not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
10 years into Roots Musician Records, this is my first rhythm album. But I think I'm going to do a lot more because I love the concept of a bunch of artists, singers doing their thing on top of the same piece of music. It's a really nice concept. It's a concept that's big in Jamaica, that's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of Jamaican artists on this rhythm album. So, big up Innovision from Maui,
Mm-hmm.
Craigie T, Job Books, Ben Barbic, Ross Frazier, Soul Medic, Bobby Hustle, doing big things. Perfect, Double Tiger, also the guitarist from John Brown's Body.
Yeah.
He's wicked, and Rankin Reels from San Diego. So it's a bunch of artists on this. But yeah, it's big in Jamaica. But I kind of want to bring that culture to the US. And I
Yeah.
saw that of course Cali Roots is on it. I saw that Cali Buds is releasing a similar
Oh, okay.
kind of rhythm album. Yeah, so I like that culture's starting to push in the US scene, and you'll see definitely much more rhythm albums coming from Roots Musician Records. So yeah, you could check that one, Ragamuffin Ride Rhythm. You can see it on my page if you go to Spotify or Apple Music. On my under my albums, with a bunch of different singers, and yeah, I enjoyed that one. It was wicked.
Yeah, I streamed or I downloaded it this and went through the whole album this morning. But yeah, it's an awesome album. But like, you might be starting a wave with that, and hopefully it can hit over in the East Coast as well.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think getting some American artists on some different rhythms that
Yeah.
will be a great thing to spread the music and kind of unite together. You know.
Yeah, sweet. Well, so a fun fact I heard about you is that you're actually a Walking Dead fan, and they're in season 10 now. It's I think they're kind of ending it early because the whole quarantine situation, and a lot has changed on Walking Dead. I'm a Walking Dead fan myself. I'm still watching the series even though it's been going on for so long. How are you like in the series so far?
Yeah, I am a Walking Dead fan. I liked it. I just like the human essence of what would
Yeah.
happen if everything failed. You know,
Mm,
I love that, like the psychology behind it, and yeah. So I've always enjoyed The Walking Dead a lot. I haven't watched the new season though. I want to, but I haven't yet. But yeah, with all this going on and a little more time in quarantine,
yeah.
I think I should probably revisit the last episodes, right?
Yeah.
But they got a couple new episodes. Is that what happened?
Oh yeah, and I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it gets crazy.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a ride. But all right, so we're at a segment that I call, or a new segment that I'm adding into this podcast called Words of Wisdom. So this question is: share with us a quote that resonates with you, and tell us why.
Well, one quote that has always resonated with me the last few years constantly comes up in my head, and it's by my boy Gonzo. If you haven't heard his music, he's amazing. Check it
Yeah,
out, Gonzo.
yeah.
It's on Roots Musician Records. Check him out on Instagram, everything. He's the guitarist of Tribal Seats.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that he said a few years back, and it has not left my head, I say it a lot. He said two words: zoom out.
Hmm.
And I feel like when we're talking about certain subjects, it's so relevant because we are so caught up on details about things. And if you zoom out to the big picture, you know what I mean? There's a
Yeah,
lot more blessings and a lot more positivity that is around the subject,
yeah.
usually with anything. For instance, like you're struggling, I mean, what's the most basic one is like you're struggling with money.
Mm-hmm.
But then you kind of zoom out, you know, and it's like you have health, you still have power to go get, get work it out.
Yeah,
You have some food you're dealing with. Like there's a lot of blessings around. And I think that I find myself when I'm coming across issues or I'm talking to someone about their issues, this, this idea of zoom out,
mm-hmm.
it just makes sense to me, because
Yeah,
I feel like even in this situation, like you could, we're in quarantine right now, we're stuck, we're all at home. You could trip out and be on CNN and tripping out every day, or you could zoom out and be like,
yeah,
what's the big picture? Like we're safe, we're home,
yeah.
everyone's going through the same thing at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna get through it. We're doing all the things, the right things that we need to do to get through it. We will, and so that big up Gonzo on that one. That zoom out has stuck with me a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Gonzo, for
Yeah,
that quote. Yeah, that's an awesome quote. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
Yeah, well, before we wrap up, is there anything you want to share with all our listeners?
Just check out if you haven't checked out my music. The support would be great. Check it out on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, anywhere. Just type in my name, E.N Young, with the E period N Young. And yeah, just check out the new song Queendom and the new rhythm album Ragamuffin Ride. Much more music coming out of Roots Musician Records from, like I said, Innovision, Sensi Trails, Tatanka,
Hmm.
and myself, and much more. But yeah, just stay, stay positive in these times, and I think, do what the health officials are telling us to do. That way we can fight this thing the best we can,
Yeah.
and get through to brighter days.
Thank you,
Yeah,
and I can't
much
wait for.
love.
I'm a big Tatanka fan, so I can't wait for that album to come out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm actually mixing a track right now when we get off.
Oh,
It's queued up
sweet.
right now.
Oh man, I can't wait
Yeah,
for it. But
yeah,
yeah, so E.N Young, thank you so much for doing this interview with us. It's such a pleasure to like just have you and talk, have you on the show and just talk to you a little bit about yourself and the music and stuff like that. But yeah, and thank you for sharing that wisdom. But yeah, appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. But E.N Young, thank you so much for joining us on Irie Chat, man, and best of luck on everything.
yeah, Joel. Big up Irie Chat. Love and respect, man. We'll see you again. Let's do it again.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, peace.